3 hours later. Courtroom Alpha 7 had been transformed into something that looked like a cross between a legal proceeding and a university classroom. The 3 human defendants had somehow managed to turn their individual trials into a comprehensive review of galactic law, complete with detailed recommendations for systematic improvements. Judge Crystal sat in stunned silence, his crystalline features reflecting the glow of dozens of holographic displays showing everything from territorial maps to mathematical proofs to what Amy Rodriguez cheerfully called a basic restructuring of how we think about interstellar law. His fellow judges appeared to be in various states of mental overload. "Let me see if I understand correctly," Judge Crystal said slowly. "Ms. Wang, your terraforming activities were not only legal but necessary to prevent a stellar disaster that could have affected 12 star systems." "That is correct, Your Honor," Wang replied calmly. "Mr. Murphy, your aggressive diplomatic practices were actually standard negotiation protocols that resulted in trade agreements favorable to all parties involved." "Yes, sir, though I should mention that what you call aggressive most humans would consider politely persistent. We have documentation from the other parties confirming that they found our approach refreshingly straightforward. And Dr. Rodriguez, your crimes against mathematical logic were actually corrections to fundamental errors in our economic calculations that have been costing the galaxy trillions of credits annually." Amy Rodriguez nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly. And once we implement the corrections, the improved efficiency should more than pay for the transitional costs. I have run the projections several different ways, and we are looking at a net positive outcome within 18 months. Commander Thaxlan watched this exchange with the fascination of someone witnessing the impossible. In his years of military service, he had seen civilizations rise and fall, witnessed the aftermath of devastating wars, and maintained order in situations that would challenge the sanity of most beings. None of it had prepared him for watching 3 humans casually dismantle and improve a 1,000-year-old legal system while defending themselves against criminal charges. "Your Honor," Prosecutor Toxvar said weakly, "even if the defendant's actions were technically legal, there is still the matter of proper procedure. They should have gone through official channels." "We tried," Jake Murphy replied, producing another stack of documentation. "One personally submitted formal diplomatic requests through 17 different official channels over the past 2 years. The average response time was 14 months, and most of the responses were requests for additional paperwork." Lisa Wang nodded. "The terraforming request from the Kepler 442 natives was submitted through proper channels 36 months ago. It is still listed as pending initial review in the Environmental Council's database." And Amy Rodriguez added cheerfully, "I actually published my mathematical corrections in the Journal of Interstellar Economics 2 years ago. The peer review process took 18 months, and the journal has been trying to get the Galactic Council's attention ever since. I believe the official response was 'Thank you for your submission. We will take it under advisement.'" The silence that followed was broken only by what sounded like quiet weeping from the prosecutor's table. Judge Crystal turned to his fellow judges for consultation. The brief conference that followed involved multiple species-specific expressions of bewilderment, resignation, and what might have been grudging admiration. "In light of the evidence presented," Judge Crystal announced, "this court finds all defendants not guilty of the charges as filed. Furthermore, this court recommends that the Galactic Council immediately implement the procedural improvements suggested by the defendants." "All of them?" asked Judge Vexhara from the judicial panel. "All of them," Crystal confirmed. "Dr. Rodriguez alone has identified efficiency improvements that could save the galaxy approximately 3 trillion credits annually, while improving service delivery across all administrative sectors." Amy Rodriguez raised her hand politely. "Your Honor, if I may, that is just the easy stuff. Give us 6 months to do a comprehensive analysis, and we can probably double those savings while reducing processing times by about 70%. Commander Thaxlon stepped forward. Your Honor, there is something I think the court should know. Yes, Commander. These 3 defendants represent the first of what intelligence reports suggest could be thousands of similar cases. Humans throughout the galaxy are becoming increasingly involved in legal challenges, diplomatic negotiations, and administrative improvements. Our security projections suggest that within 5 years, we may need to restructure the entire judicial system to accommodate their assistance. Is that a threat assessment, Commander? No, sir. It is a necessity assessment. The humans are not trying to overthrow our legal system. They are trying to fix it. And based on what I have seen today, they are remarkably good at it. Judge Crystal looked out at the courtroom, taking in the armored guards, the emergency protocols, the security measures designed to contain 3 beings whose only crime was being too competent for the system to handle. What do you recommend, Commander? That we stop fighting them and start learning from them? The real danger is not that humans will destroy our legal system. It is that they will make it so efficient and fair that we will have to completely rethink how galactic civilization operates. Lisa Wong stood up. Your Honor, if I may make a suggestion. The entire courtroom tensed. Even the guards seemed to lean forward in anticipation. We could establish a joint commission, humans and representatives, from all galactic species, to review and update the legal framework. Not to replace what you have, but to build on it. Make it better. More fair, added Jake Murphy. More efficient, concluded Amy Rodriguez. Judge Crystal realized that he was facing the most terrifying prospect in the galaxy's judicial history. The possibility that justice might actually work the way it was supposed to. Motion granted, he said quietly, and may the cosmos help us all. As the courtroom began to empty, Commander Thaxlon overheard Amy Rodriguez talking to her colleagues. That went better than expected, she was saying. Now we can get started on the really interesting problems, such as... Lisa Wong asked. Well, I have been looking at the galactic economic system, and I think there are some fundamental structural issues we could address. Nothing major, but it might require rethinking how interstellar commerce works. Commander Thaxlon activated his emergency communication system. This is Thaxlon to Galactic Command. We are going to need more guards. A lot more guards. In the end, the galaxy learned an important lesson. The most dangerous thing about humans was not their capacity for violence or their technological innovation. It was their absolute unwavering belief that things could always be better, combined with their terrifying competence at making that belief a reality. And that, perhaps, was the most human thing of all. Judge Crystal entered courtroom Alpha 7 with the careful dignity that his position required. Though anyone who knew his people might have seen the subtle shaking in his 3rd set of arms, a clear sign of nervousness. The courtroom had been rebuilt according to the new human protocols. With emergency exits clearly marked, communication systems connected directly to the Galactic Judicial Council, and enough armored guards to stop a small war. What surprised him most was how completely calm the 3 human defendants looked. Lisa Wong sat with perfect posture, her legal documents organized with military precision. Jake Murphy leaned back in his chair with the relaxed confidence of someone attending a casual meeting rather than a formal trial. Amy Rodriguez had her mathematical displays arranged around her like a general preparing for battle, but her expression suggested someone looking forward to solving an interesting puzzle. This court is now in session, Judge Crystal announced, his voice carrying across the enhanced sound system of the modified courtroom. We will first address the case of Lisa Wong, charged with unauthorized terraforming in violation of neutral zone regulations. The prosecutor, an efficient regent named Toxvar, rose to present the charges. Honored Judge. The defendant stands accused of conducting planetary modification activities in the Kepler 442 system without proper authorization from the Galactic Environmental Council. These actions violated established protocols designed to maintain the ecological balance of neutral territories. Judge Crystal turned to the defense table. Ms. Wang, how do you plead? Lisa Wang stood, and Commander Thaxlin noticed that several guards automatically shifted position, not because of any threatening action, but from pure anticipation of the unexpected. Your Honor, Wang began, her voice clear and respectful. I plead not guilty by reason of legal precedent, humanitarian necessity, and jurisdictional error. The courtroom fell silent. In galactic law, defendants typically entered simple pleas of guilty or not guilty. Complex pleas with legal reasoning were unusual. Could you elaborate, Ms. Wang? Certainly, Your Honor. Wang activated a holographic display that filled the center of the courtroom with a detailed star chart. First, the legal precedent. Galactic Legal Code Section 47.3 clearly states that emergency terraforming operations are permitted when conducted at the formal request of indigenous populations facing extinction-level events. The Kepler 442 natives submitted their request through proper diplomatic channels 18 months ago. Prosecutor Toxvar rose immediately. Objection, Your Honor. The Galactic Environmental Council received no such request. That is correct, Wang replied calmly. Because they sent their request to Earth, not to the Council. Which brings me to the jurisdictional error. The star chart zoomed in to show the Kepler 442 system. This system is listed in your records as part of the neutral zone. But according to the Treaty of Vega Prime, which established the neutral zone boundaries, systems with intelligent life forms, capable of interstellar communication, are specifically excluded from neutral territory designation. Judge Crystal felt his third set of arms begin to shake more noticeably. Ms. Wang, are you suggesting that our territorial classifications are incorrect? I am suggesting that this particular classification was based on a survey conducted before the Kepler 442 natives developed radio technology. They have been broadcasting for nearly 30 years, but apparently no one updated the territorial database. Lieutenant Vexry was frantically checking multiple databases simultaneously, her forearms dancing across data tablets with increasing urgency. She caught Commander Thaxlin's attention and nodded grimly. Wang's claims were checking out. Furthermore, Wang continued, the humanitarian necessity clause is clearly applicable. The Kepler 442 star has been showing signs of premature expansion for the past decade. Without terraforming intervention, the planet's ecosystem would have collapsed within 5 years, resulting in the extinction of approximately 47 different intelligent species. 47 intelligent species. Judge Crystal's voice rose an octave. Yes, Your Honor. Most of them are what humans would call collective intelligences. They did not register on standard Galactic Council surveys because they do not communicate the way most spacefaring species do. But they are definitely sentient, definitely intelligent, and definitely requested help. Amy Rodriguez leaned over to whisper something to Wang, who nodded and smiled. Oh, and Your Honor? Dr. Rodriguez here has calculated that if we had not performed the terraforming when we did, the resulting stellar instability would have created a cascade effect that would have destabilized approximately 12 other star systems in the local cluster. The Galactic Environmental Council's own models confirm this, though apparently no one had run the calculations before now. The silence in the courtroom was broken only by the sound of Lieutenant Vaxery's increasingly frantic database searches and what might have been muffled sobbing from the prosecutor's table. Judge Crystal looked at his fellow judges, both of whom appeared to be experiencing their species equivalent of severe headaches. Ms. Wang, are you telling this court that not only were your actions legal, but they prevented a potential disaster that could have affected dozens of inhabited systems? That is correct, Your Honor, though I should mention that we sent a full report to the Environmental Council immediately after completion of the terraforming operation. I believe it is currently stuck in what your administrative staff calls pending review, which according to your own procedural guidelines means it has been sitting in someone's inbox for 6 months without action. Commander Thaxlon watched as Judge Crystal's crystalline features began to show stress fractures. Literally, the judge was beginning to crack under the pressure. "Ms. Wang," the judge said carefully, "do you have documentation supporting all of these claims?" "Of course, Your Honor." Wang gestured, and her legal team began distributing data tablets to the court. Complete diplomatic correspondence with the Kepler 442 natives. Stellar analysis confirming the solar instability. Territorial survey updates showing the system's exclusion from neutral zone designation. Environmental Council, procedural records, and calculations confirming the cascade effect. Jake Murphy stood up from his chair. "Your Honor, if I may." Every armored guard in the courtroom tensed simultaneously. "Mr. Murphy, you are not currently being tried." "I understand, Your Honor, but my case involves similar jurisdictional issues. If the court is willing, we could save considerable time by addressing the fundamental problems with territorial classification, environmental oversight, and diplomatic communication protocols all at once." "What kind of problems?" Judge Crystal asked, though his tone suggested he was afraid of the answer. Murphy activated his own holographic display, showing what appeared to be a comprehensive analysis of galactic legal structure. "Well, sir, it seems like there are systemic inconsistencies throughout the entire framework of interstellar law. Nothing that cannot be fixed, but it is going to require some significant updates." Amy Rodriguez stood as well. "Your Honor, the mathematical foundations of our legal system contain some interesting assumptions that do not hold up under rigorous analysis. I have prepared a presentation that explains how we can resolve these issues while actually making the system more efficient." Judge Crystal looked out at the courtroom full of armored guards, emergency protocols, and security measures designed to contain 3 humans who had apparently just offered to fix the galaxy's entire legal system as a side effect of their routine defense preparation. "Commander Thaxlon," he said quietly, "I think we are going to need more security." "What kind of security, Your Honor?" "The kind that can protect us from being helped." The Galactic Court of Justice had changed many times over its 1,000-year history, but never like this. What used to be quiet halls, where judges made peaceful decisions, now looked like military command centers, getting ready for war. "Commander," Thaxlon stood in front of the newly strengthened entrance to Courtroom Alpha 7, watching his security teams get ready for the day. 24 armored guards, 3 times more than usual, checked their equipment like soldiers preparing for battle. The difference was that, instead of fighting enemy warriors, they were getting ready to keep order during a simple hearing. "Status report," Thaxlon called to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Vaxry. She was a precise Centaurian, whose forearms made her perfect for handling multiple tasks at once. "Area secure," Sir Vaxry replied, her forearms working on different data tablets at the same time. "Emergency exit routes confirmed and marked. Legal database has been expanded to include Earth laws going back about 8,000 years. The translation computers have been updated to handle what humans call legal jargon and something called constitutional interpretation, and the defendants. All 3 are currently in Conference Room C, reading case materials." Vaxry paused, her face showing the kind of worry that comes from dealing with things that make no sense. "Sir, they have requested access to our complete legal database, including sealed court decisions and administrative rules." "For what purpose?" "They said they wanted to make sure they understood the full context of their cases." Ms. Rodriguez specifically mentioned that she could not properly prepare her defense without understanding what she called the systemic implications of mathematical law in interstellar legal systems. Commander Thaxlon rubbed his scaled forehead. Amy Rodriguez was charged with crimes against mathematical logic after she somehow proved that the standard equation used for calculating space shipping fees was not just wrong, but was creating economic problems that had been slowly breaking galactic trade for decades. Her crime was not the proof itself, but publishing it in a public place, causing what economists were calling the Great Calculation Crisis. And the other two. Ms. Wang has submitted a 40-page brief, arguing that the neutral zone terraforming restrictions violate the Galactic Charter's rules for scientific advancement and humanitarian aid. Apparently, the planet she was terraforming was going to be destroyed by solar expansion within 50 years, and the native lifeforms had asked her for help. She was asked to help. Yes, sir. The entire situation began when the local population sent what they called a formal diplomatic request to Earth, asking for terraforming assistance. Ms. Wang claims she was acting as an authorized representative of Earth's Colonial Development Agency. Thaxlan's headache was getting worse, and Mr. Murphy's case is complex. He is charged with aggressive diplomatic practices, but his legal team has filed a motion claiming that what we call aggressive is what humans consider standard negotiation protocol. They have submitted testimony from over 200 human diplomatic encounters as supporting evidence. The commander looked through the strong transparent windows into conference room C, where 3 humans sat calmly reading legal documents with the same focused attention. Most species saved for religious ceremonies. Lisa Wong, a small woman with gray hair, was making notes in the margins of what looked like a copy of the Galactic Charter. Jake Murphy, a tall man with the weathered features that suggested lots of space travel, was comparing multiple legal texts with the careful precision of a scholar. Amy Rodriguez, younger than the other two, but carrying herself with the confidence of someone used to being the smartest person in any room, was building what looked like a mathematical proof on a portable display. They do not look dangerous, Lieutenant Vaxry observed. That is what makes them terrifying, Thaxlan replied. A dangerous enemy you can prepare for. These humans do not fight our legal system, they improve it. And somehow, that is infinitely more threatening. An alert chimed through the security system, showing that Judge Crixtel and his judicial panel were ready to begin proceedings. Thaxlan checked his armor one final time and activated the court's new emergency protocols. All units, remember your briefing, he announced over the security channel. These humans are not violent, but they are unpredictable. Our job is not to suppress them, but to maintain order while they systematically take apart and rebuild everything we think we know about law. Sir, one of the younger guards asked, what do we do if they start making too much sense? Pray to whatever gods your species worships, Thaxlan replied, and take very careful notes. Command wants detailed reports on everything they say. As the massive courtroom doors opened and the 3 human defendants entered, followed by their legal team, Thaxlan noticed something that made his warrior instincts warn him of danger. The humans were not just confident, they were excited. They looked like explorers about to start a fascinating journey, rather than defendants. Facing serious charges, Amy Rodriguez caught his eye as she passed and smiled. Commander, thank you for the additional security. We know this might get a bit complicated, and we appreciate you taking precautions. Complicated how? He found himself asking. Well, she said cheerfully, we think we might have found some fundamental inconsistencies in how interstellar law interacts with basic principles of physics and mathematics. Nothing serious, but it might require some significant revisions too. About 60% of the galactic legal code. As the humans took their places at the defendants' table, Commander Thaxlan realized that all the armored guards in the galaxy were not going to be enough for what was about to happen. The real question was whether the galaxy's legal system would survive intact. Judge Crixtel entered the courtroom wearing his official robes, though anyone who knew his people might have noticed the slight tremor in his extra arms, a sure sign of nervousness. The courtroom had been changed according to the new human protocols, with emergency exits clearly marked, communication systems linked directly to the Galactic Judicial Council, and enough armored guards to handle a small military uprising. What struck him most was the complete calm of the 3 human defendants. They sat there like people attending a friendly discussion rather than a formal trial that could change their lives forever. This is going to be interesting, Thaxlan muttered to himself, checking his weapons one more time. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Judicial Council happened on Nexus Station, where judges from 47 different alien species came together in a huge room. The air machines worked hard to keep everyone breathing. Some judges needed water tanks, others needed gas clouds, and a few needed special crystal chambers just to stay alive. Senior Judge Ythmore floated in her glass sphere, her tentacles moving in circles. Anyone who knew her people could tell she was very upset. The situation has become impossible, she announced through her voice machine. In the past 6 months, we have had 17 cases with human defendants. Every single one ended with us having to change our entire system. Magistrate Keleth, a warrior from the warlike planet Kree, slammed his metal fist on the table. My courts have processed fighters from every corner of the galaxy. Mad warriors from the death worlds. Crazy raiders from the far reaches of space. None of them ever asked to question the police about their training in proper evidence collection. That is not even the worst part, said Judge Vexhara, her bug-like face clicking with worry. I had a human, just a simple cargo pilot named Ben Lewis, turn a basic customs problem into a 3-day teaching session about space trade law. He knew laws from legal systems we had never heard of. Rules from planets that are not even part of our council yet. The room buzzed with similar stories. Judge after judge told about their experiences with human defendants who treated courtrooms not as places of judgment, but as classrooms where every rule could be questioned and every old decision could be challenged. It is not just their knowledge of law, added Arbiter Zakton, his scaled skin showing stress marks. It is their absolute belief that the law should be fair, not quick, not easy, fair. Do you know what that idea does to a legal system designed to handle thousands of cases every day? It breaks it, Judge Crystal said from his seat at the front of the room. Completely and totally breaks it. The room went quiet, except for the sounds of various life support machines keeping everyone alive. Finally, Elder Magistrate Cruxiel, old even by the standards of his very long-lived people, spoke in a voice like grinding rocks. Perhaps the question we should ask is not how to control these humans, but whether our legal system was working properly to begin with. The shocked silence that followed was broken only when Magistrate Keleth's armor began making noise. What his people did instead of nervous laughter. You cannot be serious. Judge Ythmore's tentacles had gone completely still. Our legal system has kept peace in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Has it? Elder Magistrate Cruxiel's ancient eyes seemed to look through them all. Or has it kept galactic obedience? There is a difference, you know. Before anyone could answer, an urgent message came through the room's communication system. Commander Thaxlan appeared on the big screen, his dragon features showing unusual excitement. Honored judges, he began, I am calling from the courthouse, on Kepler Station. We just finished the case of humanity versus the Galactic Mining Company. That case was supposed to be a simple contract dispute. Judge Vexhara clicked nervously. What happened? The human legal team, led by someone named Rachel Green, successfully proved that the mining company's operations in the Tau Ceti system violated the mineral rights of 17 different native species, including 3 that the company claimed were extinct. The room exploded with various alien expressions of disbelief. How is that possible? Magistrate Keleth demanded. The company's operations were approved by this very council. Ms. Green presented old artifacts, language studies, and something she called cultural science to prove that the species were not extinct, just moved to different places. She then quoted the Galactic Charter's rules for native rights rules that, she pointed out, we have been ignoring for the past 2 centuries. Elder Magistrate Cruxiel leaned forward, and the company's response. They agreed to pay damages equal to about 12% of the galaxy's total money output. Oh, and they are funding the creation of what Ms. Green calls legal help programs for underrepresented species throughout the galaxy. The silence this time was complete. Even the life support systems seemed to quiet down. "Commander," Judge Crystal's voice was barely a whisper. "How many humans were involved in this case?" "Just 3. SIRM's Green was helped by 2 colleagues, Dan Taylor and Steve Kim. I should mention that Mr. Taylor is actually a machine engineer, and Mr. Kim is a philosophy teacher. Neither of them had any formal legal training before last month. Judge Yithmore's sphere began to glow with what her people showed when they were panicking. "Yes, ma'am. They said they got interested in law after reading about the Connor Mitchell case. Mr. Kim mentioned that he found our legal system philosophically inconsistent and wanted to see if he could help fix it." After Commander Thexland's image disappeared, the room stayed silent for almost 10 minutes. Finally, Magistrate Kelleth spoke. "I move that we use Emergency Judicial Protocol 7. "What does that mean?" asked Judge Vexera. "Required armored guard escorts for any trial involving human defendants. Full security measures, and ... He paused, his armor making noise again. "We start taking their suggestions seriously. All in favor?" Judge Crystal's voice sounded like someone accepting certain defeat. Every single judge voted yes. 3 hours later, Crystal sat alone in his private chambers, looking out at the stars through the station's windows. Somewhere out there, humans were probably reading legal books, finding problems with galactic law, and getting ready to fix things that had been broken for centuries. The funny thing was, Crystal realized he was not really afraid of the humans anymore. He was afraid of what would happen when they were done helping, because once the humans fixed the legal system, what else would they decide needed improvement? The thought kept him awake for the rest of the night. The tall glass towers of the Galactic Court reached up into the fake sky of Station Omega-7. 3 different suns cast their light on the crystal walls, making rainbow patterns dance across the metal floors. Judge Crystal sat at his big wooden desk, using 4 of his 6 arms to sort through legal papers, while the other 2 held his morning drink. Crystal had been a judge for over 200 years. He had seen cases with fish people, bird people, rock people, and dozens of other strange aliens from across the galaxy. Nothing had prepared him for humans, especially not for what everyone now called the Connor Mitchell mess. It had been a 1.5 years since that first human trial. Connor Mitchell was just a truck driver who moved cargo between planets. He got caught breaking some trade rules in the Andorian area. Simple stuff. The kind of case Crystal could finish in an hour. Connor seemed nice enough. He said he was sorry. His lawyer, a smart blue guy named Blixter, had a normal defense ready. Everything went fine until Crystal was about to give Connor his punishment. Connor stood up from his chair. He looked right at the 3 judges with calm eyes and said, "With all respect, Your Honor, that sentence is not okay with me." What happened next was not fighting or yelling. Humans, Crystal learned, were surprisingly calm when they got angry. Instead, Connor started talking. For 3 hours straight, he took apart not just the charges against him, but the whole legal system the galaxy used. Connor knew about weird old laws from 17 different planets. He pointed out 14 things the police did wrong when they arrested him. He somehow turned his simple trade violation into a huge problem that needed the entire Galactic Council to meet and figure out what to do. The worst part was not that Connor was so smart. The worst part was how easy he made it look. Like bringing down a 1,000-year-old court system was just another day at work for humans. "Sir?" A small voice made Crystal look up from his papers. Quib, his nervous assistant from the planet Altair, stood in the doorway. "The security meeting for today's human cases is ready." Crystal's third eye started twitching. Today, they had 3 human defendants to deal with. Lisa Wong was charged with changing a planet without permission. Jake Murphy was accused of being too pushy during business talks. Amy Rodriguez somehow got charged with crimes against math logic, a charge so weird that Crystal still did not understand what law she broke. "Send in Commander Thaxlan," Crystal said, putting all 6 arms flat on his desk to look important. The security chief walked in wearing shiny armor and carrying lots of weapons. Thaxlan was a draconian 7 feet of scales, muscles, and military training. He was also one of the few beings in the galaxy who actually seemed excited about working with human cases. "Judge Crystal," Thaxlan's voice sounded like thunder, far away. "I looked at the security needs for today's trials. Normal rules would need 12 guards, crowd control, and emergency exit plans. What do you think we should do? Use twice as many." Thaxlan's lizard face showed what might have been a smile. "These humans have a saying, better safe than sorry. I think they are right." Crystal looked at the case files again. 3 humans, 3 cases that normally would be small crimes. Now they needed enough security to stop a small war. "Commander, in your experience, what makes humans so difficult to handle?" Thaxlan was quiet for a moment, his yellow eyes reflecting the courtroom lights. "It is not their strength, though they are surprisingly tough. It is not their technology, though they adapt quickly to new things. It is that they absolutely refuse to accept that something cannot be done just because it has never been done." Before the judge's crystal face got darker, a sign that his people were thinking hard. "And you think this makes them dangerous?" "I think this makes them necessary," Thaxlan replied. "But that does not make them any less scary." As if their conversation had summoned him, another assistant appeared at the door. "Judge Crystal, the human defendants are here. They want to look at the court's rulebook and file some pretrial motions." Crystal's 6 arms began to shake a little. "All 3 of them?" "Yes, sir. And sir?" They brought their own legal books. About 47 cases worth of material from something they call Earth Legal History. They say they are happy to wait while you read it all. The judge looked at Commander Thaxlan, who was now definitely smiling, which looked much scarier on a dragon person than it should have. "Use twice the security," Crystal said quietly, "and get the emergency plans ready." "Already done, sir," Thaxlan replied. "Welcome to human law." Crystal leaned back in his chair and wondered if maybe he should have stayed in his old job as a simple planet administrator. At least asteroids and weather reports never tried to fix the entire legal system just by showing up to court. Outside his office window, he could see the 3 humans sitting calmly in the waiting room. Lisa Wong was making notes on what looked like a copy of the Galactic Constitution. Jake Murphy was reading through several thick legal books like he was preparing for a fun quiz. Amy Rodriguez was drawing math equations that probably made sense to her, but looked like alien writing to everyone else. They looked so normal, so harmless, like 3 people waiting for a bus instead of 3 defendants who might accidentally revolutionize galactic civilization before lunch. Crystal's third eye twitched again. In 2 hours, court would start. In 2 hours, he would find out if the legal system that had kept peace in the galaxy for 1,000 years could survive 3 humans who thought it could be improved. He had a feeling the answer was going to change everything.